Welcome to Meguiar's, an unofficial history. So Meguiar's are now one of the world's biggest detailing brands. Having been in business for over a century and a huge market share, I thought it'd be good to have a look at their history to date. So founded in 1901 by Frank Meguiar Jr., he actually started out by making furniture polish in the garage. Now, he would make a bottle at a time. He'd do this actually using an egg beater to stir and mix the product together. And he would make enough in an evening to sell the following day, and he would use the proceeds of those sales to support his family. Now, something to consider is this. In 1901, Frank actually predates the Ford Model T by 7 whole years. So it's not too much of a stretch if you think about it that his furniture polish being used on wooden horse carriages and things like that, as the automobile age took hold, it was a simple transition across. Now, the company continued to grow. In 1913, they moved to a new premises. The family all worked for Frank. His sons involved, everyone seemed to have an involvement in the company in some way. As the company grew and matured, eventually in 1950, when Frank passed away, the control of the company moved to his 3 sons. So you had of his 3 sons, Morris, who was the oldest, and Morris took care of being the sales manager for Meguiar's at that point. You had Kenneth, who was the youngest, and he took charge of production, and the middle child, Malcolm, was a self-taught chemist. He took care of formulating new products. For example, he even formulated Meguiar's Cleaner Wax, which for a long time was one of America's best-selling liquid car wax products. Malcolm, like his brothers, started in the Meguiar's garage at a young age. Malcolm was 8 when he first started mixing waxes and polishes with his old man, and he continued developing for Meguiar's up until 1993. Had a massive career with Meguiar's. Although in the later years he did actually supervise a team of chemists instead of directly formulating, but his touch was there nonetheless. He had a real reputation for perfectionism. He would never scrimp or save on product ingredients, always insisting on having the best that he could in the Meguiar's products. And it was this that gave confidence to his customers. Now, Meguiar's, up until really when Barry Meguiar stepped in 73, dealt solely with the professional market. They were interested in dealing with detailers, body shops, car dealers, that sort of thing. And they tended to turn over on average $600,000 a year, which to the brothers was beyond their wildest dreams. When Barry left college and he came into the company, he came in as a sales role as well, and he actually presided over Detroit, over that area of the United States, dealing directly with companies like General Motors, Ford, and so on. So he really was dealing with massive companies, but he also saw the benefit of dealing with the consumer, the person at home that wanted that Meguiar's finish. And he petitioned his father and his uncles and the board to let him go to the consumer market, something that they didn't really want to do. And the vote for him in order to do this barely snuck through, with enough of the directors and his father voting in his favour. So in 1973, Barry took to car shows. And the reason he did that was twofold. One, they didn't really afford him any advertising budget. Number 2, Barry understood that getting consumers at the grassroots was really the best way to build consumer confidence in what they were doing. The way he achieved that was this. He would go to these shows early. He would get his stall set, everything laid out, and then he would go to the trouble of meeting the show car owners as they turned up for the show. He would take the personal touch, introduce himself. He would then explain Meguiar's, what they could do, and offer to demonstrate his product on the supposedly immaculate show cars coming in. Now, Barry was always able to offer an improvement on the finish for these guys. And then in turn, he would offer them a free bottle of this product if they would sport a Meguiar's sign on their car. Now, this attitude and this confidence gave a very, very confident sales pitch. And before long, all of the cars, or at least a vast majority in these shows, were sporting Meguiar's signs. So Barry, his wife Karen, they did as many of these shows as they possibly could. They really did chase this from the ground up, and it showed in how Meguiar's was accepted by the public and by people at home wanting that show car finish. The company flourished under Barry's leadership. In the 80s, he he took the role of president of Meguiar's, overseeing a move to a new head office, the production increasing, the line growing, and really helmed Meguiar's up until very, very recently, when Meguiar's were bought by 3M. A lot of people were concerned by this purchase. 3M, a rather faceless corporation, taking over what is and was a family-run business, but they needn't have been concerned. 3M, as a former competitor of Meguiar's, understood everything that Meguiar's was doing, the ethos, the approach they had, and they knew if they were going to meddle, they were going to ruin that. So although they bought out Barry Meguiar, they actually continued with him at the helm. They allowed him to continue running the ship. The 120 or so people still working at Meguiar's head office all retained their jobs. So the general outlook from the public is that nothing's really changed. Meguiar's still has that same customer focus, that same ease of use, and everything that they built their company on still rings true. That really brings us up to date with where we are now. It's nice to see, for example, with Meguiar's not losing touch with their history and their heritage. The Mirror Bright line, which is one of their latest lines, actually harks right back to those early days with the shape of the bottle, the labeling, everything like that. Really shows that they've not lost touch with what they came from and with where they're going. They've been going for over a century. There's no reason they won't be going for another. The addition of 3M as a buyer for Meguiar's means that the international production base is massive. So no longer will Meguiar's have to source and supply across oceans and continents. Now the product should become cheaper, more readily available for more people. That's the history of Meguiar's to date. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, think about offering a thumbs up down below and a comment. If you'd like to see more or any particular brand, then let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.